Hello again, everyone. My name is James Shotwell. This is Music Biz, and you are about to watch a great interview that I did with the one and only Connor Garrity of All Hail the Yeti earlier this week. Now, if you're unfamiliar, All Hail the Yeti is a force in the world of heavy music. They've been around since 2006, but they are at their absolute best right now. And later this year, All Hail the Yeti will be heading out on the road with Ginger and Suicide Silence, and they might also have some new music in the works. You'll have to watch the interview to find out exactly what's going on with the band, but let me tell you, it's a great conversation. We talk about the pandemic, we talk about returning to live music, we talk about creativity, we talk about all the good stuff with lots of advice for up and coming artists from all genres. Now, if you'd like to hear the audio version of this show or any episode of Inside Music, you can find us on Spotify, the link is below, or any podcast platform. I want to ask that you do support All Hail the Yeti, even if you just give them a stream or two online or watch their videos here on YouTube. But right now, all you have to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy this interview with All Hail the Yeti. Well, it's great to talk to you, Connor. I have been wanting to talk to you for a bit now, and when I saw the news about the upcoming tour supporting Ginger and Suicide Silence this fall, I was like, now's our chance.
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're excited.
How's your day going so far?
Pretty uneventful, man. It's like I said, it's my day off. I'm up in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It's cloudy but not raining, so that's good. Not really sure what I'll do, but it's keep it mellow. Usually, there's not much going on. Everything's kind of shut down here again. They're on a I don't know, semi kind of lockdown and no travel. Like they've restricted recreational travel, so kind of have to stay within your community. And then yeah, so it's luckily they haven't shut down my businesses again, so that's good. But it's just part of our lives now.
So is it, how's it feel, this news of the tour support opportunity this fall is kind of like the first, like it's a sign, right? Like we're getting back to it. The industry is, starting to pick back up again. How's it feel to kind of be like, dipping your toe back into doing all of this again?
Honestly, man, like we were like, well, like to answer your question immediately, it's amazing. It feels amazing to know that. I mean, even if there wasn't anything COVID going on or any of this like year and a half shutdown or all the stuff that's happening, just the fact that we've gotten this tour coming up is just like a super super awesome thing for us. And it's a big tour, and it's like important for a band of our size to be on
Mm.
something like this, and with such great bands. I mean, Suicide Silence is super legendary band, and we've played with them before in the past, and so it's always fun with those guys. And we played with Ginger in the summer of 2019 in Germany, and they were super cool to us, super nice people.
Mm.
So, and then being with all of our management and everything kind of tied in together, so it just kind of worked. And but like now throw in COVID and being off for a year and a half, which I'm sure you understand, like you're in the same industry, so it's been I don't know, man, it's been kind of like it was like everything was just taken away from us, like me personally, like for like my identity is my tattoo shop and being in a band. And one is I've had like for I don't know 20 plus years I haven't had one without the other, so it's like always been juggling both back and forth. And then when they were both taken, I
Mm.
was kind of just felt like I was just like, okay, well, who am I now without these two things?
Mm.
And so like we just kind of like everybody kind of the four guys is kind of we just kind of like, all right, well, we'll see you whenever we see each other, like we've got to go deal with our personal lives, right? And so we've just kind of been separated for over a year now. And then when we started talking with management about the tour and stuff, and they were like, yeah, well, we'll put your name in and see if it works out. And then I got a call from the label at like I don't know whatever day it was, and I'm just like, oh well, I wonder what he wants. I was at work, and he's like, yeah, so you got the tour. And I was like, wait, what tour? Like I just kind of like it's just so weird to hear that, right? Like after being so long of like nothing happening. And then
Mm-hmm.
when COVID started, we were on our way to Philly to start a tour with Life of Agony and Doyle.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Mm-hmm.
like spent, I don't know, 4 days in the bus driving to Philly from LA. And we were like 3 hours from the venue, and it was this like phone call. Yeah, tour's canceled. So we just got off the freeway, got back on, and drove straight back to LA. She spent 8 days in the van or in the bus and didn't even open the trailer, didn't play a single note. So we're super happy. I'm trying my best not to get like overexcited for it because I'm just like super weary about everything that's going on. And like, I just have this like underlying feeling like things could just be canceled at any moment now. So, we're grateful and we're just trying to like stay positive and hope that nothing bad happens, So
Well, I feel like, I feel like the industry is kind of like very much the general energy is like, we're doing this. Like, we are coming back and this is happening. And if we just announce enough stuff and fill calendars, it'll have to happen. We'll just make it happen.
I think that's kind of the general feeling too in most of the states, like, I mean, I know California is still being super like, I don't know, I don't want to get political with anything because that's just irrelevant, but like, certain states are just like, we're not opening yet and we're not doing this. And it's like, okay, well, everybody else is, and it seems to be like nothing's really like getting worse than it was. And with these vaccine rollouts and all this stuff, it's just like, okay, let's go. Like, people are ready and they're just over it and they just want to like, and it's not to discredit the amount of like of death and people have died and like heartache and loss that all the families have had. Like, it's horrible. It's been a horrible, horrible time, but like, it's just going to get worse if we can't, have what we love back, regardless of what it is.
Yeah. And I'm so glued to the news. Like, I've seen the big events happening in Florida, and Texas had like an EDM festival last weekend. Electric Daisy is next month. It's like Bonnaroo got announced, and then the rest of the industry was like, okay, some people seem pretty happy about Bonnaroo being announced. Let's just announce some more stuff. let's just
go for it.
So you talk about going to Philly, getting canceled, driving back to LA. How many times has the band all been in the same room since then?
Well, since that tour, like we got home, we unloaded the trailer, put our stuff back in our rehearsal and storage area, and that was it. I've seen my drummer twice since then, like physically. The other two guys I haven't seen since it happened. No, sorry, I saw Dave, the guitar player, like right before I came up to Canada. That would have been like end of May. We were working on the cover song, and I saw him one day. So I've seen Dave and Junior once. I haven't seen Nick since the day we left the studio and dropped the gear off. Over a year.
How crazy is that?
I mean, we talk to each other all the time, obviously, and just like everybody else, they've got this Zoom stuff and FaceTime, and so it helps for sure. But it's like affected me super like negatively. Like, I've just been like that contact with the people that are close to me and not having that. It's like I never really thought. I mean, obviously, I would never think about it because I'd never think that this was going to happen, right? Like that I wouldn't be allowed to see my friends or my family or like like it's just. I don't know. I think like it's the long-term effects of what it's doing to people. I think is like nobody's really, really taken consideration of really what it's doing. And that's a big problem. Like, I mean, for me, it's, if I didn't have my art, like I was just able to like draw and like kind of, and my dog and like be able to do that stuff. But like some people don't have that, right? Like they have their day job and that's all they have, and so yeah, it's been messed up, man. It's been really hard, like just super depressing, and like you have to find new ways to like make yourself busy and stuff. And everyone's like, oh, it's this is a blessing. Everyone needs to take a seat and learn new things. It's like, no, like this isn't why I worked 25 years to have this band and my business and all this stuff. So I could just take a seat and sit back and learn new things. Like, come on. Like, and then these are people that's businesses didn't get shut down. They're still working, or their families are still working. Like my tattoo shop was closed for 10 and a half months, so I didn't have income coming in for a long time. I think we were open for 6 weeks in total in 10 and a half, almost a year because of California and what they were doing. And it's like, again, not to get political because it's irrelevant, but like, we know that tattoo shops aren't the problem, so
yeah.
And it's like, and they just don't care about tattoo shops. So that was like we're like, we'll deal with those later. We got to worry about restaurants and shopping malls and big box stores and all this stuff. And, the little guys can sit closed and whatever. We'll worry about them down the road, which is total bullshit. So And it just forced a lot of people underground and to do stuff, make money and figure ways out to like make money under the table and not pay taxes and just do this like super illegal kind of shit, right? So anyway, it sucked. It's been
Yeah.
shitty.
Yeah, absolutely. So the news comes in, you guys got the tour, which I'm sure lights up the group chat. You're like, we get to
Yep,
see each other again.
yep.
How long until you guys are actually like, will you guys actually get to see each other? Have you set a date yet to be like, maybe we should get
The
together?
guys, the three out of the four guys are in LA. Junior was up in Canada. Like he left for Canada, like I don't know, April, like, and before April of 2020, like, so we got home, we were home for about a week, 10 days, and he was like, he's got really bad asthma, he's immune compromised, and he doesn't have health care in the States, like he's on a visa and stuff. So I'm like, dude, you need to go back home just in case, like we don't know what's going on, like if this is real, like if this is something that you can catch, like because at that point it was super new, right? We didn't like the
Hmm.
news wasn't, they didn't know anything. So he got on a flight and went home, went back to Canada, and he was there till about August, and then went back to LA. So the guys have been together in LA for since about August of last year, and I came up here in June of last year. So I think they're together now. They've started rehearsing and getting ready, like kind of just
Hmm.
shaking the cobwebs off, so to speak. And so I will probably be there July, end of July-ish. So we'll have like July, August, September to like we have to do like shoot videos, do photos, prepare for the record, and then start rehearsals for the tour. So it's gonna
Hmm.
get busy really quick. So I have this like next few months to like work, save money, kind of enjoy my peace and quiet more than I already have. And then it's just gonna hit real hard. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Well, now you can actually enjoy the peace and quiet, right? Because you know that it's going to end at some
Exactly.
point.
There's a pretty big light at the end of the tunnel. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're
You know, I think you're in a great position because I've talked to so many artists and labels and industry people right now who spent the last year like they've been recording already or whatever, and now we have this fall this slate of albums coming that is like an avalanche, and you guys are kind of giving yourselves a little space there because you haven't actually started the record yet, right?
no. Well, the record's finished. We actually
Okay.
finished the record. It was finished like just this January, February of 2020. So it was
Oh,
done.
okay.
We recorded it in like late. We started in like November of 2019, finished it just before Chris or just after Christmas 2020, and then it was supposed to release during the Life of Agony tour. That was like the plan, or like right when we got home. So it was supposed to release spring of 2020, and then obviously this stuff happened. We were just like, let's just wait. We don't know what's going to happen. And that point, it was like 2 weeks to flatten the curve, and everything's going to be back to normal. Well, and then so we pushed. We were like, okay, let's release in the summer. Summer came and went, and I'm like, I don't want to release it in the summer. Like we can't tour. This is thinking like, and then it was like, okay, well, let's release in the fall. The fall came because I think they originally like the Life of Agony tour got rescheduled to like
Yeah.
September, October, and I'm just like by like July, I'm like, I don't think it's gonna happen. Like I'm pretty positive like this world is fucked right now. Sorry, I don't know if
Yes.
I'm allowed to swear or not, but
Totally allowed to swear. It's the
okay.
internet.
So the then fall came and I'm just like, look, I don't want to release this record at the end of like in fourth quarter. Like we've done that before. It went really bad for us. We're not a band that can release a record without touring and still do okay. We're still a small band. We need tour behind it to support it and to sell it. So I was just like, I did everything in my power to like convince the label and convince management. And they were all behind me. Like management was just like, yeah, you're right. Totally. Like, let's wait. If we were Lamb of God or Slipknot, wouldn't matter. People will still buy it. Right.
Hmm.
So, I mean, and our diehard fans will buy it no matter what, but we need that push. So, and then so that ended, and then it came to the beginning of the year. We're like, so after the holidays and all that stuff, we started talking, and we're like, well, what about spring? We're like, nah, let's see. And then it came like we were like, okay, we're gonna release in June-ish, something like that. Let's just put it out. We can't wait any longer.
Hmm.
This has been 2 years, like we need to get it out. It's been super long since we've released music. Let's just do it. Let's move on it. And then June, like it started coming to be like 3 months before the push for the record would start. And I'm just kind of like, it's like I had a feeling that like shows were going to start coming in the fall because like we, you know, all this vaccine stuff had started, and and I said like I was just wasn't sure. And then again, it was like it came down to it, like, what should we do? And then I'm like, we decided that we weren't going to release. Now we're like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's release 2022. Let's let all this shit pass and just come out with a bang, fresh 2022. So that was like that was the decision that we had made. We kind of put it behind us. We were like, okay, well, whatever. So now we're going to start doing, you know, we had talked to the guys and we're like, we're going to just start recording, do some cover songs, maybe, and start writing. I mean, we've been writing, but you know, like we went from spending so much time writing to like recording, and then it was like, okay, cool, we're going to release a record and tour, and then it was like, oh no, now we have to write more. It's like, when you get out of writing mode, it's hard to get back in it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we decided to push till 2022, and then I don't know how long later it wasn't long. I saw that someone, I friends with the drummer from Suicide Silence, and I saw that he had, you know, posted the tour, and because they basically rescheduled this tour because this was supposed to happen in 2020, and I think maybe it had started, maybe the tour with Suicide Silence and Ginger. I'm not sure. I think it was supposed to start like right around like middle of us being out with Life of Agony in 2020, and of course they got canceled too. So that was why we originally didn't even bother trying to get it, because we got the Life of Agony first. So anyway, so I saw that he had posted about it, and I reached out to the label, and then he's like, well, talk to management because they have the same management as we have the same management as Ginger in the States. And I just kind of was like, what about this? And you know, I didn't really think too much about it. And then like I said, a little bit while longer, I got a call saying like, this is the deal. And then I'm like, okay, well, let's try for it. And then I got the phone call at work, and I'm just like, oh God, thank God we're going on tour, you know? So yeah, that's, sorry, my answer is just kind of
No, I
straight
love it. Well, I
so,
mean, it's just, you know, I only ask as a person who's like ready to hear some new
yeah.
tracks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did an 8-song EP with Steve Evetts. Steve Evetts has done Devil Driver, Dillinger Escape Plan, Suicide Silence. The list goes on. I don't know like everything, but he's unbelievable. And we've been wanting to work with him since the second record, and it just never worked out. And then when it came time to do this EP, the label had worked with him before with Insight. And obviously Dez, our manager, has worked with him with Devil Driver, and a bunch of his bands have used Steve. So it just seemed right. And so we did it, and we had a great time. And he, like, you know, he's a very methodical guy, like when we're working with him. So it was I don't know, we had fun. It was like, it wasn't like we were there to like, ooh, let's make a record and we're gonna have fun and do all this. We were there to make a record. We were there to like, we had this much time, and it was just, that was what we set out to do. And it wasn't like, it was like, you know, when we did Highway Crosses, we flew to Jersey and we were at the studio for like a month and a half, and it was like this whole like recording experience with Warren Riker. It was great, but this was more just like, okay, we've got 2 weeks, or a month or whatever, let's finish this now, and that's all business. You know, when I was doing my vocals, there was nobody else there. When Dave was doing guitars, it was just Dave and Steve. It was just kind of like business. And then, you know, we'd go for dinner or whatever, and then have some fun at dinner, and then come back and work. So we're super excited. We've got, like I said, 7 original songs. We did a cover song on there, and it's in my opinion, it's the, like, I mean, I love the 2 like middle records in between the first, but this is our like going back to the roots, like back to the first record kind of vibe for sure. Like the songs are very like, I don't know, like very catchy, but also like just a little bit more stripped down, a little bit more rock and roll. Less, you know, we had less of like a site on trying to do radio and stuff like that. We're like, let's just put some songs out that we like. And so we did, and we're super happy with the turnout. And I think everyone's going to be pretty happy with the way they sound.
Yeah, I bet. And you guys, if I heard correctly from your PR, you worked with Alan for mastering on this record too, right?
He did, yeah. That's the first time he's mastered for us. The last record was Howie Weinberg, which is, I mean, he's done 2. He did our first record and our last record. or first and our third. And I mean, obviously, yeah, I mean, like how his name speaks for himself. He's mastered just about everything that you could possibly.
Yeah,
Like from
he's a
never,
busy guy.
yeah, from fucking kind of Nevermind to Blood Sugar Sex Magic to like you name it, he's mastered it. So, and he's a trip. He's a super cool dude. But like, Alan is just, I guess Steve and Alan are like buds, and he was just like, that was who Steve recommended, and I'm like, okay, whatever, that's your guide, you guys work together, that's the kind of like, that's like the compliment to his record, right? And if he thinks that works best, and just put our trust in Steve, and it just came out amazing. We're super, and like literally like the recalls and like getting the mixes back. I mean, I think we sent back 2 songs for adjustments. Like there was like 2 little things in one song, and then like I think 3 tiny little things in another song, and that was it. He did one pass of the mastering, came back, and was like, "Oh wow, this sounds awesome." He gave us like 3 options, like 3 or 4 different ones, and I'm like, "Dude, I don't know what to pick. They all sound so good." So it was, like I said, it was a super smooth process from that point, like from getting into the studio to like, okay, the record's done, was just like, it just kind of all fell into place really good, and Alan like killed it. So we're happy. Yeah.
Absolutely, I can't wait. So how soon will the us normal folks get to hear some new All Hail the Yeti?
I think they're gonna release the first single. Let me think. Like end of July, August, maybe, like whatever, like 3 months before the tour or before the record get releases. So whatever that is. So if they were going to release in October or no, or November, I'm not sure. There was talk about releasing the cover that's on the record like soon, just to kind of appease the masses, like give them something. But I think the first single will be sometime midsummer. And
Cool. That's absolutely exciting.
That will be like lyric video and that kind of stuff. And then the first, like the main single with the real, like the full video will be, I don't know, a month after that.
That's great.
Yeah,
So it's happening. Like
yeah, it's happening. I think the only way it won't happen is if things change, like COVID world for the United States, and they cancel the tour. Then I think we'll go back to like the original plan of like pushing the record release until next year, because obviously, again, it's for a band like us to put a record out without touring. It's crazy because a lot of people just don't understand, right? They're like, why don't we have new music? Where's your record? We heard your record was coming out. Why isn't it out? And it's just like, yes, okay, like you just don't get it, right? Like, and it's not believe, like we want to put it out. Like, I don't want to sit on it anymore. It's like having this person kind of like hanging around your house all the time, and it's like, oh fuck, I want him out of here, but I can't let him go yet because he's not ready, like
yeah.
So we're excited, we want it to come out, we're just got to be the right timing.
Exactly. Well, I think you guys are on the perfect tour to move a bunch of units. The cool thing, both those bands, Ginger and Suicide Silence, their fans love to buy merch, so it's a great tour to be on with something to sell.
Yeah, absolutely. And we always kind of plan our merch and our sales around the other bands, and like what's the best way to capitalize on, we're the opening band, so most of the people that are there to see either Suicide Silence or Ginger. So if they have any cash left over after dumping it all on them, they're going to want to spend it. And so we offer things that are like, maybe $10, $15, $5. So they're like, okay, I got a $5 left, I'm going to buy this, so that's kind of how we work our angle to try to like reel people in, like offer a $5 patch or like a wristband or a bandana, kind of that kind of stuff that they can afford.
Love it.
I mean, the t-shirts nowadays are not cheap, especially at, I think they're probably going to be $20 at this tour, like, which is fair. Like bigger tours, and they're $40 a t-shirt. It's ridiculous. But
yeah, trust. I mean, even the merch on some of these live streams I've watched recently, I'm like, what are you charging? Like, you're sending this stuff to, you don't even got to ship it to you first.
I mean, I get that they like, everybody's income has been cut, and like they need to make money, but like so is everybody's. The people watching have the same problem, right? Like, why all of a sudden does a t-shirt have to be $50 if it only costs $12 to make? Like, that doesn't make any sense. It should be double the price. So if it costs $12, it should be $24. That's it. So I mean, I had a friend that worked for what's his name, Travis Scott, that hip-hop artist, that whatever his deal was, but she was like their production manager for the tour, and he was selling t-shirts for $130. They had this hoodie on the tour, like that they were selling for $700, and they would sell out every night, arenas every night. He was doing like 130 grand in merch every night.
Insane.
Like that's, and they're complaining about like, oh, like we're not making enough money. And it's like, you know, I mean, that's a whole other world, that hip hop world. And I mean, they those people just waste money and spend it on like the most random, stupid things. And like, you know, and that's the reason why these artists are like, they're super hot for a minute. And then all of a sudden it's like, what happened to them? Well, they spent all their money and they're broke, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
on a
They
million
can't
dollar
fund
necklace.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. On a $1.2 million necklace.
Mm. Well, I want to say, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. I've been
Absolutely.
I've been a fan since I heard Blood Guilt for the first time. I
No
still
shit.
recommend it to
Holy shit. I
people.
haven't heard that in a while. Crazy.
Yeah, I think that might be I mean, I like all the songs, but that's you
It's a
know how
great
like when you
tune.
fall in love with the band,
Yep. Yep.
it's that first song is always the one that you're
Absolutely.
like,
God, I
that's
got a
the
funny
track.
story about that song. That sorry to interrupt you, but
Go ahead.
that was written before with our original guitar player that I started the band with. We started the band in 2006, I think.
Hmm.
And we had written that song. It kind of just whatever, it just happened. He had the riff and we just kind of were like throwing it around. And then we like kind of had like half finished it or three-quarters finished it. And then he was like, I'm leaving the band. I've got to go back to, he's like, I'm moving back to Boston. And he got married and had a daughter. And they were like, he's like, I've got to go. So, and we hadn't even like, you know, we were just playing locally and like doing the, you know, the indie thing for a while. We hadn't even started touring or anything. And then when he had left, we got two new guitar players that came in that were the guys that we did the first EP with, Trees on Fire, with Songs of Blood. And that song was kind of like not quite finished. And so the other guitar player, that Brian, that played on the self-titled record, him and I kind of just like reworked it and then finished it. And then that was the first song that Nick started singing on, because before that song we didn't have any clean singing. And that was the one that kind of like tipped us into this kind of more like, I don't want to say commercial, like, because we're not like, obviously we're not a radio band, so to speak, but the
No.
singing definitely changed our sound, right? Like it made us more
Yeah.
accessible to a lot more people, because let's be honest, a ton of people prefer to hear just not just screaming the whole time, which I do too. I appreciate the singing and the hook and the
Yeah.
melody. And so when that happened, it was like, it was almost like we all kind of looked at each other and we're like, oh, this is where we're going. This is what's gonna happen. And we kind of at that moment knew that we like kind of had a shot, you know, like we weren't just gonna be some local band that played LA for a couple of years. And we were just like, and our management at the time was just like, you know what, you guys really do have you have something here, and you could have, if you play your cards right, you could, you know, make something of this band and become, you know, a good contender in the metal community. And so yeah, that was it. That was like kind of the beginning for us to like, and that was the song that kind of like drew, like when we were playing shows, like Century Media would show up and like all these labels were coming to our shows to like, which one are we going to sign? And then like, I don't know what happened. We ended up signing with an indie label from Germany, and nothing turned out the way we wanted it to, of course, because it's always a fucking fight. So we ended up struggling for a while, but we're happy where we are now. And you know, Minus Head, Brad at Minus Head, he's been just amazing for us. And now we've got Des and Anastasia from Oracle, and obviously Maria, and she worked our second record. It's been amazing, you know, and we're super excited about the future now. So that's the story
Absolutely.
of Blood Guilt. That was about
No,
an
it's
ex-girlfriend.
it's a great song. I mean, it kind of feels like I always call that kind of song, especially on an early release, like that's the festival song. That's the song that'll get you into the bigger rooms, where it's like, oh, now we can play at 3 p.m. at one of those big rock festivals because we balance the sounds.
And we haven't been able to, like, those whole like Danny Limmer festivals, we haven't been able to like break through to that. Like, someone put us on these, but we feel like this is going to be the record where we'll be able to do it, and we have a great team, you know. So we'll see.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Well, if nothing else, people can see you this fall with Ginger and Suicide Silence all over North America. I'll see you when you get to the Midwest, and hopefully the other shows will follow.
I think it's going to happen. Like, just like I said, hit up Maria and come say hi for sure.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me today.
My pleasure.
All right. Have a great day.
See you later. Peace.
Peace.